Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Joseph Farley Show. We have a great show for you today, so sit back and relax. Make sure that you sign up at josephfarleyshow.com for the show notes. Today we're going to cover FISA-702. Now, this is episode 3 of our FISA report. And in this particular clip, we're going to talk about Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution. Anything that is not in Washington, D.C. is considered foreign to Washington, D.C. We're also going to cover the trick phrases that the globalists have planted in each state. And we're going to cover a little bit about cryptocurrency. So, sit back, relax. Everything's in the show notes that you need when you sign up at josephfarleyshow.com. And now, let's take it away. Justin, what do you have for us?
Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the Constitution specifically talks about the legislative jurisdiction of Congress, and it's not here in the 50 states. There are some crimes that can be prosecuted by the federal government that are outlined in the Constitution. There are things like treason, piracy, counterfeiting, immigration laws, things like that. But the vast majority of the laws that Congress enacts in Titles 1 through 54 are not prosecutable within the 50 states of the Union. And that is brought up by a case, Supreme Court case called Adams versus the United States, and we'll get that for you too.
Remember, folks, we'll have all the notes to the show on the josephfarleyshow.com website under show notes. So relax and enjoy the broadcast. Okay, there is a Supreme Court case that Justin's going to find, and it's called Butchers Union. And we'll get you the full name of the case here. And it's people that have gone back to study the Constitution, study the codes, the statutes, the rules, the regulation, which, by the way, apply to them, not to you. Unless, and of course, you would like to be one of their legal fictions or corporate fictions. Now, Wikipedia is not a source that I trust a lot, but it was quick, convenient in order to make this point. This is a legal fiction, or better known as a corporate fiction in the statutes. A legal fiction is a fact assumed or created by a courts. It's a fact that's assumed. That's a little too strange. It's a fact that you, as a human, they have placed you as a corporate or a legal fiction. And they're going to assume that you are a legal fiction, and they're going to treat you like that in a court. So let me read this again. A legal fiction is a fact assumed or created by courts, which is then used in order to help reach a decision or to apply a legal rule. Not a law, but a legal rule. But see, that's the trick. You think it's a law. And they have looped you in under their system through a legal fiction or corporate fiction. And now they can pronounce judgment on you. The concept is used almost exclusively in common law jurisdiction. Negative. That's not true. And I'm going to show you why. And particularly in England. Again, not true. Now, Wikipedia is either CIA produced and or manipulated. This is another avenue that we've talked in other recordings about the Operation Mockingbird to distort factual data and give out misinformation. So this is misinformation coming from the government. There's an element of truth, but they're not going to tell you the entire truth. And that is the issue that we're dealing with in America. We have a deep state that has been planted underneath the what we think is our government. It's really an administration. We the people are the government, and we the people need to rise up, get involved, go out and vote, and know the issues. Do not take the information that you're getting from the lying media, CNN, MSLSD, and the rest of them. We've already proven in Operation Mockingbird. If you don't understand that, you need to go back and listen to that tape. The government has set up and has designed a plan to brainwash the public. And we're going to show you where the trick is. Now, if you'd like to continue to get lied to, then watch CNN, watch MSLSD, watch ESPN. I mean, all of that stuff, it's propaganda because you haven't realized that you are the enemy. They even have an act. It's called Trading with the Enemy. It's not some foreign dictator someplace. It's you. You are the last enemy that the globalists need to conquer so they can conquer the world. Once the globalists can convince you that the guns are bad and that we should take up all types of guns, AR-15s, all types of guns, once they can convince you of that, if you think it's bad now with the deception, they're going to come in and just rape America. So don't think for one moment that things happen by accident. It's an orchestrated plan. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is in our code here in Texas. And this is the Business and Commerce Code, Title I, Uniform Commercial Code, Chapter 1, General Provisions, Subchapter A, General Provisions. Now, stay with me. You go down to number 27, and it says this. This is the definition of person. And here's what you need to understand how they've written the employee's manual, okay? And that's all this is. This is an employee's manual. This isn't your rules. This isn't your obligation, unless you want to let them put this on you. And I'll tell you, you do not want them to be able to put this on you, because I'm going to read to you what a person is. And then after I read to you the definition of a person, if you still want to be a person, go ahead. But here it is. A person means an individual. And you say, well, that's probably right, except you don't know what an individual is. A corporation, I think you might know what a corporation is. A business trust, estate, trust, partnership, limited liability company, association. Okay, so far, do you see any word in there that describes who you are other than individual? I'll come back to that. Now listen, folks, if you're not used to dealing in business terms, then this isn't going to make a lot of sense to you right now. But we're going to explain it to you and show you. Because once you see the trick, once you know the trick, it's no longer a trick. Once you see the trick, it's no longer magic. And you'll be able to overcome this. So it says association, a joint venture, a government, a government, a governmental subdivision, an agency, an instrumentality. Oh my gosh, it looks like this is them, not us. Public corporation, any other legal or commercial entity, or a particular series of a for-profit entity. Now, so individual is not defined in this particular chapter. You can find a corporation, you can find a business trust, you can find out what the definition of an estate is, right? Or a trust, or a partnership, or limited liability company. All of those things are corporate fictions or legal fictions that the state has created. Now, getting back into the birth certificate, here's where they create you, the corporate fiction. They take from mom and dad, from the hospital, and they say, oh, a little baby boy. What's his name? What do you want to name your son? How about Billy Joe Davis? That's the name we'll give him. Oh, that's great. The little nurse marches outside the room, writes it down. They get it on that birth certificate, get it registered through the state, where the state gets money from it, from the federal government, Washington, D.C., and they ship that thing off to Washington. Now the state has just created a corporate fiction, and you never knew what they did. But here's the thing. You are not a person unless you put yourself under their position. However, that corporate fiction that is domiciled in Washington, D.C. is a U.S. citizen. And now, Washington, D.C. can come out and say, we don't spy on United States citizens. The little corporate fiction that's there in domiciled in Washington, D.C. We only spy on foreign people. That would be you here in Texas or Oklahoma or California. You see how they've done this little word magic on you? That's why this FISA 702 is so vitally important that you understand it. It is also very important that you understand this next segment that we get into on in this state. And as we begin to review Butchers Union case, you'll start to see it's crystal clear. Their codes, their statutes. Let me give you a really great example. Let's say that you walk into Walmart and the guy that greets you there says, hey, where's your jacket? And you say, what jacket? You got to have a jacket to come in here. And you say, no, I don't. Well, yeah, you do. Everybody has to have a jacket that comes in here. No. Only employees have to have a jacket. I'm not an employee of the corporation. I don't have to have a jacket. The employee rules do not apply to me the way they apply to you because you work for the corporation. You're getting a thing that's called a paycheck. They don't apply to me. And because Americans have been ignorant of their laws, rules, codes, regulations, we've fallen for that. Now, they have, when you go back and watch the first recording, Operation Mockingbird, they have specifically, with intent, to distract you, that would be Washington, D.C. and Hollywood, to distract you, to keep you from learning how this actually works. And they've done it on purpose. The fake news media has been engaged in this, and they have been operatives of the CIA, and this has been an attack on the American people. So what we're doing is we're showing you where this case is. Go ahead.
This is Butchers Union versus Crescent City Company. It's a Supreme Court of the United States case. And it talks about occupations of common right, and it will specifically mention the practice of law. I will tell you right now that there is no state in the Union that licenses the practice of law in Texas or in California or in Kansas.
So the way that they do it is in this state. They've made up this phony, fake, hovering, as Eddie Craig has explained it, this hovering, Justin, what's the right word to use?
I like the word ethereal, which means otherworldly.
Okay, ethereal. They've created this ethereal platform where they can violate your Bill of Rights because you don't know any different. And the cops or the sheriff department, they don't know. And so when they get an order to go pick somebody up, they just follow orders and go do it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, they tried that at Nuremberg, and it didn't work so well. And it's not going to work so well for the second American Revolution either. Go ahead, Justin.
Okay, I'm going to quote right here from that case. As in our intercourse with our fellow men, certain principles of morality are assumed to exist, without which society would be impossible. So certain inherent rights lie at the foundation of all action, and upon a recognition of them alone can free institutions be maintained. These inherent rights have never been more happily expressed than in the Declaration of Independence, that new evangel of liberty to the people. Quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident. That is so plain that their truth is recognized upon their mere statement. That all men are endowed not by edicts of emperors or decrees of parliament or acts of Congress, but by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that is, rights which cannot be bartered away, or given away, or taken away, except in punishment of crime. And that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to secure these, not grant them, but to secure them, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Among these inalienable rights, as proclaimed in that great document, is the right for men to pursue their happiness, by which is meant the right to pursue any lawful business or vocation, in any manner not inconsistent with the equal rights of others, which may increase their prosperity or develop their faculties, so as to give them their highest enjoyment. The common business and callings of life, the ordinary trades and pursuits, which are innocuous in themselves and have been followed in all communities from time immemorial, must therefore be free in this country to all alike upon the same conditions. The right to pursue them without let or hindrance, except that which is applied to all persons of the same age, sex, and condition, is a distinguishing privilege of citizens of the United States, and an essential element of that freedom which they claim as their birthright. It has been well said that the property which every man has in his own labor, as it is the original foundation of all property, so it is the most sacred and inviolable. I'm going to skip down here. In this country it has seldom been held, and never in so odious a form as is here claimed, that an entire trade and business could be taken from citizens and vested in single corporation. Such legislation has been regarded everywhere else as inconsistent with civil liberty. Now, I'll skip to another part here. It cannot be that a state may limit to a specified number of its people the right to practice law, the right to practice medicine, the right to preach the gospel, the right to till the soil, or to pursue particular business or trades, and thus parcel out to different parties the various vocations and callings of life.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's talk about this for just a moment. Maybe the state says, well, we're not saying that you don't have a right to do that. We're just saying that you have to pay a fee to us as a gatekeeper.
That fee can be regulated or could be regulated by the state. And that fee is a tax.
Right.
Any way you want to call it, it's a tax. And they can tax you out of your right. For example, let's just say anybody can be an attorney, and anybody can. But we want to license you, and it's going to cost you $200 million for that license. How many attorneys do you think you would have?
Or, a very good point, Or how about we give you a test in order to be an attorney? And that test is selected. Let's say they have 10 different tests. One test, the moron test, and the other test, nobody could pass. And somewhere between 1 and 10, they decide how that test is going to be handed out. There's all types of manipulations that could transpire and probably do transpire inside a quasi-government entity. Go ahead.
And that's perfectly right. That's perfectly correct. So a license cannot be issued to practice law, and they cannot tax you on property. If you guys will go to your own statutes in whatever state that you're in and just run a word search in this state, you will find that every time, without exception, that they use the words in this state, violating your God-given, your natural rights that are held forth in the Constitution.
Well, matter of fact, Justin, we're getting ready to pull up a document that we have here in Texas, and it is the Blue Sky law, or supposedly, that the Texas Security Board has, and we're going to take a look at that and see if in this state is in that document. Now, why is that important to you? Well, cryptocurrency, guys, it's going to be real important to you. And some of the guys higher up are going to see exactly what we're showing you and for you to consider. Now, I believe that there are a lot of attorneys that don't know this. They have no clue about in this state. Okay, now, Justin, just for the record, I want to state that I am not an attorney. How about you?
No, I like to call myself a lawyer, but not an attorney. But
A
that got me in trouble once.
A lawyer, huh? How about a doctor? Are you a doctor?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I'm not a doctor either. Not only a medical doctor or a psychiatrist, psychologist, nothing to that effect. Nor am I a security broker, sell a security, or anything to that effect. So, Justin, if you would please, let's show our audience what they can do in their particular states under their blue sky laws. So, go ahead and hit Command F and type in there, in this state. And let's just see how many times this comes up. Throw the little counter over there. Oh my goodness, it comes up 36 times. Now, here's something worth noting, is that it is much cheaper, much easier to type out Texas than it is to type out in this state, unless in this state means something different. So let's scroll down to, I think it was number 5, and let's look at this. That's number 6. Let's go up 1. Let me start with E. Go up just a little. Yeah, E. Any offer or any transaction pursuant to any offer by the issuer of its securities to its existing security holders, including persons who, at the time of the transaction, are holders of convertible securities or non-transferable warrants, if no commission or other remuneration other than a standby commission is paid or given directly or indirectly for soliciting any security holder in this state. Let's go to the next in this state. Go ahead.
Why don't you explain that? Because some people are not into securities, and that could be pretty deep for them.
Okay, let's do this. Let's go up to the very top. That's a good point. Let's go to the first place where it talks about in this state. And go up a little bit higher, because I want to give a backdrop. I want people to see this. Okay, is that the top of the document? Okay. Okay, here is Title 19, Blue State Securities Law, Article 581. 1, short title of the Act. This Act shall be known and may be cited as the Securities Act. Acts of 1957, 55 legislature, and then it goes through and describes that. Creating the state's securities board. Creating the state's securities board and providing for an appointment of a security commissioner. In this first part, it's talking about, and if you'll slowly go through this, Justin will see this, but it's talking about what the commissioner can do, what the qualifications are for the commissioner. The family members can't be hold certain positions. Go ahead and keep going. Okay, and now these are board members. Board members must be a member of the general public. A person is not eligible for an appointment as a board member if the person or the person's spouse, 1, is registered as a dealer, agent, investment advisor, or investment advisor representative. 2, has an active notice filing under this act to engage in business in this state as an investment advisor or investment advisor's representative. Now, again, wouldn't it be so much easier just to put act to engage in business in Texas?
It would also seem to me that because the term in this state is there, that you really don't have to have a license to engage in that business.
Yeah, well, they the guys with the shiny badges and guns think something else. But those roosters are coming home to roost. Trust me. And everybody involved in that is going to have an issue with this that's coming up for 2018. Everybody that has gone along with this fraud.
Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Please sign up for the notes and for future show information on our website, josephfarleyshow.com. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and help share the links. We're in a fight for the very heart of America. We're being blocked by the globalists, the social media ghettos, and the fake news media because here is where truth is revealed.